Once they ruled the land in silence. Now silence follows where they fall. Every step they take echoes a warning, a call to protect or perish. This is not just their story, it's ours too. Sri Lanka, a land ancient and sacred, an island crowned by cloud forests, stitched together by rivers, watched over by the shadows of giants. For centuries, humans and elephants lived in rhythm. The forest gave, the herds moved, the people revered. But the rhythm has broken. The forests have fallen, the roads have risen, the balance is lost. Today, Sri Lanka's wild elephants, fewer than 6,000, walk through a fractured world, through farms, through fear, through fire. This is not just a crisis of conservation. This is a test of empathy, of humanity. This is a journey, not just through forests and fields, but through decisions, consequences, and hope. From dry plains of the north to the rainforests of Singaraja, from railway lines to sacred processions, we follow the footsteps of a species on the brink. In the heart of the Indian Ocean, wrapped in waves and wonder, lies an island steeped in heritage, Sri Lanka. It is a land of rituals and rainforests, of sacred peaks and ancient palaces, but above all, it is a land of giants. Here, the Asian elephant has roamed for thousands of years, not merely as a wild beast of the forest, but as a symbol of strength, endurance, memory, and grace. It is said that when an elephant walks, the forest listens, and when it disappears, something ancient is lost. We begin this journey not to just watch them, but to understand them, to walk where they walk, to trace the scars they bear, to hear the silence they leave behind. There are fewer than 6,000 wild elephants left in Sri Lanka. They are unique subspecies of the Asian elephant, smaller than their African cousins, but no less grand. Most lack tusks, especially the males, but their majesty is unquestionable. They move in matriarchal herds, led by the oldest, most experienced female. They form deep social bonds, mourn their dead, and nurture their young with a gentleness that belies their size. In the mud baths, they cool their weathered skin. In watering holes, they greet other families with low rumbles that can travel miles. In the open plains, they stand as monuments to a time before fences, before cities, before conquest. Yet today, they are surrounded by roads, by railways, by people, and by loss. Once, elephants walked across Sri Lanka unimpeded. Their migratory paths were their heritage, routes remembered not in maps, but in memory passed from generation to generation. Today, those corridors are cut. What was once jungle is now town. Where there were forests, there are farms. Where herds once moved freely, now they hesitate. As the human population grows, land use changes. Forests are cleared to grow rice, sugarcane, bananas. Houses creep closer to reserve boundaries. Highways slice through migration routes. Conflict is not a distant concept. It is real. Every year, over 300 elephants die in Sri Lanka, and so do dozens of humans. The numbers are rising. What follows is tragedy. Electric fences meant to deter, electrocute. Homemade bombs explode in their mouths. Trains speeding through jungles strike in the dark. This is not conflict. This is collapse. Sri Lanka's railroads, built during the British colonial era, were meant to carry tea and cinnamon. Today, they carry people and danger. At night, the forest is quiet, but the trains are not. They roar through unknown elephant corridors. Their headlights catch the eyes of startled herds. Their horns blast into the night, but it is often too late. Elephants are slow to move, especially with young calves. The tracks are narrow, the paths are ancient. When the metal meets flesh, it is devastation.
It was a day of tragedy for elephants in Sri Lanka, as 6 of these majestic animals lost their lives in an agonizing manner when they were hit by trains. 4 elephants were killed after being hit by the Colombo-Kanagasanthuri night mail train in an area between Ammanpula and Galgamuwa in the Kurunagar district early this morning.
In the past decade, over 250 elephants have been killed by trains in Sri Lanka. In 2022 alone, nearly 15 elephants were killed this way. It is a silent massacre. Solutions have been proposed: underpasses, speed limits, sensor systems, but few are implemented. The lines are long, the bureaucracy is longer. Each collision is preventable, however, each loss is permanent. Over 70% of Sri Lanka's elephant habitat has been lost in just the past century, while remains is scattered, islands of green in a sea of development. These are not forests anymore, they are prisons. An elephant needs space to feed, to mate, and to raise young. A bull may walk 30 kilometers in a day. A herd needs hundreds of square kilometers to thrive, but what they get is shrinking every year. Even protected areas are not safe. Illegal encroachment, logging, mining all eat away at the boundaries. Young elephants are the most vulnerable. When their mothers are killed by trains, by bombs, or by fences, they are left alone. Some are rescued, some are not. They cry like children do. They refuse food. Some die of heartbreak. Others recover, slowly under human care. But they never forget. We are creating a generation of elephants raised in fear, raised in captivity, raised in a world where their kind is fading. The elephant is not just an animal in Sri Lanka. It is part of its national identity. They feature in folklore, in art, in festivals, and in childhood memories. In the past, elephants marched with kings. Today, they appear on currency, in school books, on tourism posters. They are living monuments. Yet reverence is often symbolic, and symbols are not always protected. Some elephants are revered, others are used. Domesticated elephants, often kept in poor conditions, are forced to work. We must ask ourselves, do we love elephants as they are, or as we want them to be? Do we honor the wildness, or only their service? To protect elephants, we must look beyond the symbol. We must see the living, breathing creature, the one that remembers, the one that grieves, the one that waits in the forest for a world to change. Every paddy field tells a story written not just in the sweat and labor of the farmer, but also in the cautious footprints of giants who walk under the cover of night. For many farmers across Sri Lanka's dry zones, growing food is an act of defiance, not against nature, but against imbalance. Fields are trampled overnight, harvests are destroyed in minutes, a year's hope turned to rubble. It is not out of hostility, but hunger. Not out of rage, but survival. Elephants enter villages not to challenge humans, but because the jungle no longer feeds them. Rain no longer follows the rhythm of tradition. The monsoon delays, then arrives in torrents that drown before they nourish. Rivers shrink into trickles, waterholes become mirages. Elephants, once free to forage across vast lush terrain, now wander across parched scrubland. What was once a buffet of vegetation is now bare. They enter villages not to threaten, but to search. Their great bodies designed for abundance now bear the burden of scarcity. Climate change is no longer science fiction. It is etched into the skin of starved calves, carved into the cracked trunks of dried up trees. It is a thief of predictability, of resources, and of peace. With the drying comes the burning. Fires are now tools of land clearance, fast, ruthless, and irreversible. But the fire does not know boundaries. It burns the thickets that elephants nest in, destroys the underbrush that feeds them. Ash coats everything. Even the wind smells scorched. What emerges after the fire is not farmland, but a battlefield. Between the needs of the present and the ghosts of a vanished ecology. The plight of Sri Lanka's elephants is not isolated, it's global. International partnerships bring data, technology, funding, but also a new perspective. They offer satellite imagery, radio coloring systems, and climate analytics. The world watches, but watching is not enough. Partnership must be rooted in local reality, or it risks becoming observation without impact. The elephant is a magnet. Tourists flock to see them. But not all tourism is equal. Chains disguised as ornaments, rides offered in the name of culture, sanctuaries that cage more than they are. Yet hope remains in ethical sanctuaries, places where elephants roam freely, where tourists are educated, not entertained. When done with respect, tourism becomes an engine for protection. Imagine a Sri Lanka without elephants. No trumpets across the valleys. No shadow between the trees. No stories of giants passed from one generation to the next. We are close to that silence. Already, the genetic diversity of Sri Lanka's elephant population is thinning. Tuskers, males with ivory, are rare. Poaching and selective hunting have taken their toll. The elephants walk the roads their ancestors carved, but find fences, towns, and noise. They remember, but the people have forgotten them. The The elephants walk the roads their ancestors carved, but find fences, towns, and noise. They remember, but the people have forgotten them. They do not speak, but they shape forests. They do not rule, but they lead. They do not ask, but they give balance, beauty, and wisdom. If the elephant disappears, we lose more than a species. We lose a memory of Earth's patience, a guardian of ancient balance. In their silence is a question. Will we listen? This is not just a story of elephants. It is our story. It is a story of what we choose to protect, of what we decide to remember, and perhaps of what we can still save.